Checkout tracking by the NPD Group brings you a receipt collecting system that gathers data anonymously through technology we created, providing your businesses with answers.
So yeah, a little bit of a continuation of the last topic, and John from B7, focusing on rewards, but a couple of things we'll talk about today. Just talking a little bit about the unique need for a different kind of relationship with the mobile consumer. The focus of the conversation is that there does need to be a little bit more conversation around retention versus what seems to be the priority with many developers in driving installs. Leveraging rewards and loyalty is basically what we do, and we'll share a little bit about that from a broad perspective. And then just a quick intro to Appsaholic and what we're doing and how we may help developers. So, a little bit about me. I spent 12 years on the agency side, primarily in print and digital media, and focusing on planning and buying. I then moved over to the publisher side, working for a video distribution platform called Dailymotion, and now it's actually a year and a half now, fully immersed in the mobile app space. My previous experience was across platform. This position now obviously is very focused in mobile, and it is certainly a unique experience from a career perspective. But that's Business Joe. When you think about how we represent, who we are as people, there's probably no better way to introduce yourself than through your phone. So a little bit about me through my phone. We all have crazy photos that we probably don't want some people to see, like us in a cowboy hat posing seriously. That's my wife and the head of my dog, Jackson. Liz mentioned that we just went public in Toronto Stock Exchange, so exciting stuff. Text messages, very personal, right? My mother-in-law, for some reason or another, and I always share these at conferences and they get some chuckles. My mother-in-law sends me novels for text messages. This one in particular was about a round of golf and and how she, what did she shoot there? 93. She was very happy with that. And then I moved away from my parents, so they like to send pictures. This is them showing off in the Met suite a couple of weeks ago. And then our apps, right? Our apps represent who we are as people too. So I have trouble sleeping at night. I sometimes need the assistance of some relaxing melodies. And very cool app. I'm not sure if some of you have met with them. They're here today, called Habit Monster. You can probably tell I could use a little bit more exercise. Well, this app in particular, as you walk, your monster walks, and you have to sort of lead your monster back to his home. So there's a lot more of these out in the marketplace now, but that's me through my phone. And the reason why I sort of share this with you is because it really, it's really hard to disassociate ourselves from our jobs and mobile user as mobile developer. And the truth of the matter is that the mobile relationship is very unique, especially when we look at it against other media like desktop and TV and print, etc. You don't fall asleep with those items. You don't fall asleep with with your laptop or with your newspaper. It's a very personal device. We put it in our pockets along with all the other things that are important to us: cash, credit cards, photos of loved ones, and that is why we feel that you do need to think about the relationship in a different way when it comes to mobile. It's also one of the reasons why we have our wall of truths. This is a slide that we use in almost all of our presentations, and the reason behind it is because this relates to all of us. There are probably at least a handful that all developers are challenges that developers are facing on a daily basis. Uninstalls, ratings, reviews, App Store revenue cuts, increasing CPIs, user resistance to ads, all key challenges. And while we'd love to find solutions for all of these, the best we can do sometimes is pick them off one at a time. The challenges that I want to address here, and we'll address in the presentation, are specific around UA and the complexities of UA, and how it's really only half of the half of what you need to focus on, right? So, in terms of the reality of UA, this is from our friends at Fixu. The average cost per loyal user from March 2014 to 2015 has increased 118%. That's more than double the cost. And for reference, the loyal user, the definition of a loyal user, is someone that opens your app 3 or more times. Now, whether or not you see that as a loyal user for your own app, obviously it varies from use case to use case. But that cost, no doubt, is hits everyone pretty hard as you try and grow your audience. And then in terms of retention rates, they continue to decrease from folks at Apptentive. 40% of new users will visit your app in the next month. And again, this percentage may work for some apps, but I'd imagine that it doesn't for many apps. And that's why when we talk about loyalty and rewards programs, there's a new dimension to the way we think about the overall development of our audience, right? And this is really a sort of an equation that should all be something that we're thinking about. Installs, as you see, is only a piece of this puzzle. And when we think about how we are driving revenue, I'm sure most of us in the room are probably monetizing through advertising, but also through in-app purchases, etc. This equation applies across the board. So yes, installs, you need to grow your user base. That is absolutely a key to success. But the retention piece is often overlooked, and part of it is due to the fact that you'll see it walking around this conference that there are a lot of partners that are offering up UA opportunities, and maybe minimal amount of retention partners, although that is increasing. But when you think about the importance of, okay, now I have this user as an install, and they have deemed themselves somewhat loyal. How do I retain them, and why should I retain them? And what you see here in this equation is that retention is just as important as that install base, and even more importantly, when it comes to ad dollars, right? It's a lot of campaigns we see now are CPI, performance-based campaigns. The idea of frequency of messaging against a user is a lot less important now, with the majority of ad spend coming against CPI campaigns. And you think about it, right? New game, drive an install to that game. Those ad partners, they only want to show you an ad 1, 2, 3 times. If you haven't installed by then you're probably never going to install. The problem with that is that we're in a position now where we are going to see a huge shift in advertising dollars from brand advertisers. There's just no way around it, and perhaps it's happening a little bit more slowly than we all want it to. But when the brand dollars come over to the mobile marketplace, that idea of frequency only needing to be 2 or 3 times against the user completely changes. The idea now is that you need a user base that is coming back on a frequent basis. In a lot of cases, big brands, they want to send some type of sequential messaging. So building that user base that comes back on a frequent basis is something that is going to be key for brand advertisers, and will help you benefit when those dollars move over to mobile. And that is really happening anytime now. We're seeing it within our own properties that we've actually focused very much on brand advertising, with the knowledge that it's moving over. There's just no way that right now time spent in mobile is here, and mobile brand ad spend is here. At some point, just like it did for desktop, it'll start to equilibrate. And when we talk about retention, obviously there are several ways to increase retention: building a friendly, useful user experiencing, leveraging analytics and metrics. There are a couple of great companies out there that can help you do that. To learn a little bit more about your audience, effectively use push notifications, allow for strong social sharing. All legitimate and important ways to help increase retention. However, the piece that is kind of new to the marketplace is the idea of leveraging loyalty and rewards within your app to reward your consumers for engaging and spending time with your app, and ultimately increasing user retention and engagement. And we'll obviously talk a little bit more about it, but this notion of adding rewards to my app is sometimes we get there's some negative connotation around it, right? Like, why do I need to add rewards to my app? My app should be strong enough, the integrity of my app should be good enough where I don't need to reward my users for coming back or for achieving a certain event in the app. And that's completely realistic, and I think at some point everyone kind of feels that way. I shouldn't need rewards, but the truth of the matter is loyalty programs have become an everyday part of life. And I'm sure you think about, for those of you that traveled to San Francisco for the conference, you likely chose an airline that you have some loyalty program with, or hotel that you have a rewards program with. You think about simple everyday habits like drinking coffee. I'm sure a bunch of us have the Starbucks program on our phone. It's just the way it is now. Plenty developing in the last few months is bringing rewards, even more to the forefront. The fact of the matter, it's now very common for consumers, and there's really a consumer that leverages your rewards platform is no less of a consumer, and that's ultimately what we try and preach as a rewards platform. And then secondarily, in the past, and I can speak to this because I was on the agency side when this was the case, advertisers would be hesitant in terms of running their ads against incentivized inventory, right? It's like, well, again, why should I have to pay for the user to watch my ad? My creative should be strong enough. I have the best creative agencies in the world building this creative. I shouldn't need this. But the truth of the matter is the folks at Google and YouTube and other ad networks have really trained consumers to. We're all guilty of it, right? The second that skip button pops up on our video player, we're hitting it. The second you see that X button, you're tapping out of it. It's just the way that we've been trained now as consumers. We have that option to skip out ads, and we are taking advantage of it. The problem is that we have advertisers now that are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in some cases, developing creative that nobody is watching, whether it be on our mobile devices, on desktop, or on television. You're fast forwarding your DVR, you are hitting that skip button on YouTube, and we're now at a point where advertisers are more strongly considering, okay, how can I get users to actually watch the entirety of this ad that I just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on? And rewards platform allow for that opportunity, and we'll show you. And some of our stats, our completion rates are 95% and higher. And while yes, a reward was offered for that event, from the advertiser's perspective, they see it as a great thing because, okay, I know that person has watched my video versus television, etc. So a quick introduction on Appsaholic and how we've built the program. Liz mentioned that Appsaholic is basically the B2B arm of Perk, which launched about 2.5 years ago now. We have over 3 million members, and basically what Perk is a suite of owned and operated apps that leverage rewards. So when our users are spending time in our apps, whether it be playing one of our casual games or Perk TV, which is sort of a mini YouTube experience where we're aggregating video content from third-party publishers, Perk Search, Perk Shopping. As they're using those apps, they're earning Perk points. They are accumulating Perk points over time and throughout each app, and then they are redeeming the Perk points for gift cards and cash. So we have 12 apps now, and we have users that are spending 42 minutes a day on average on our platform. The other sort of important piece of this is that we have giving users purchasing power, and really the importance behind this for us and for third-party developers is that we've created users that are very comfortable making in-app purchases. They're using their Perk points and tokens for various things in our apps. But we have, for our consumers, our users, we have 150 plus gift card options. We just launched Perk Plastic, which is a Discover card that we work with Discover to basically have the ability to push users points and cash right onto their own Perk Plastic card, so they can use it as they would any other Discover card. This just launched in May, and our users are super excited about it because it gives them basically almost an unlimited amount of opportunities to redeem their points. So as we've built Perk, there are several things that we learned that we thought might be useful for other app developers. What can we take from what we learned within our own rewards platform and help lead other developers towards success using rewards? So one, giving users purchase power. Again, this idea of okay, they're earning points and they're becoming very comfortable with using those points and that currency for in-app purchases. And we all know the challenge of driving in-app purchasing within our own apps. The percentages are really low. So if we can sort of train consumers to become more comfortable using it with currency that they're earning by engaging with your app, you're going to have a lot more volume in terms of in-app purchases. Reducing ad sensitivity. This is kind of an amazing thing that I've seen because there's so much negative association to advertising. Again, people are just annoyed by it. What happens in a rewards platform is that mobile users are very savvy. They know that the reason why they're getting these points and this cash is because of the advertiser message that they've just been provided. So there's this unique relationship that develops. They become a lot more positive to the brands that are helping them, shop for their family at Walmart or whatever it may be. So that ad sensitivity is greatly reduced. And then driving retention and engagement. Again, you're offering real-world cash value rewards. They're going to pretty much do what you need them to do. And come back and do it on a frequent basis. Okay, so how does it work? That's Perk, right? We built Appsaholic now. It's an SDK that's available for third-party app developers with the idea that you can now integrate Perk and our currency and the rewards into your own apps. This is a very basic use case of how it would work in a third-party app. So in this case, White Tiles, a casual game, wanted to reward their users for just app open, right? It's just come back, you've earned a Perk point. So what happens here is that a user opens the app, they are provided with a toaster message that is customizable. It's also can be suppressed. So there's a lot of flexibility in the product. Don't think that this is the only way it can be delivered. But in this case, which is a great use case, they wanted to bundle coins, which they're using in their app, with Perk points. So, and that's just a good way to drive higher conversion rates. If you already have some sort of currency, if you can bundle a Perk point with it, you're going to drive more people to claim their point. And then what happens is there's actually two models. The primary model, there's an ad experience. We have built the SDK with ad monetization built into it. Most of the partners use there are partners we use for Perk, and that includes branded video, interstitials, a number of monetization partners. And then from there, the user has earned their point. Now, there is, again, there's the ability to basically for a user to sort of pass on the point, claiming the point at that moment. What happens is it stores that point for a later time, and then a user can go back after the app experience and claim their points. So this can be as intrusive or less intrusive as you want it customized. We work with you on that. For users that store their points, they don't claim it immediately. Here's where the Perk Portal, it sits on top of your app. At any point, you can go right back to the app. Or we also offer the user the ability to earn more points within your app. So it's just a sort of a trend that we see with our users. They're like, this is great. I love earning points. Let me earn a few more. Now the benefit to this for the user obviously is they earn more points. But for you as the developer, this is more ad revenue generated. And this ad model, the whole subsidizing of points with the ad revenue is revenue that we split with the majority of it going to the developer. Most of our terms are very much in the developer favor. That's how you make money. As a developer, it's in a lot of cases incremental revenue because it's not necessarily interrupting your current ad monetization placements. Just some other ideas in terms of how to drive revenue and engagement. These are some sort of bundled up opportunities to think about. One, we're building out really strong competitions piece for games that you want to have battles or leaderboards. We have the ability. What we're creating now is each user ponies up perk points, and winner take all type component to the game obviously drives great engagement. And then rescue moments, where you can earn more lives or hints or cheats or whatever it may be for viewing. And then quickly, so we're running low on time. Talked about the importance of sort of thinking about brand advertising now. We have a mix within our monetization suite of partners that are a mix of brand partners and CPI based. And the reason behind that is that we find a pretty steady flow when it comes to brand advertising throughout the year, but we also want to take advantage for those spikes in those performance based install driving campaigns when they come up. And then lastly, all of this is built in. We have the ad monetization piece. We manage those. You have a dedicated account manager with customer service that works on fulfilling of gift cards, quality assurance, etc. And then you have full access to your own reporting dashboard to see what activities look like in your app. And I flew through those last couple of slides. So if anyone, we're at booth 109 in the exhibition hall. Happy to take questions. We have our pub dev team and our director of engineering there too for any questions.
Thanks, Joe. That was a great overview of loyalty and rewards and how they can be used in games. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Just one question in regards to converting the actual reward to a real reward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think? What have you found works to do that? Like, what ratio or how do you do that? Like, what kind of a formula do you use?
From converting points to a gift card, for
Correct.
example? The exchange is 1,000 points per dollar. So our catalog, well, for those that use Perk Plastic, we can pretty much push the cash out whenever they want to. But in most cases with gift cards, there's a $2 or $5 denomination that most users are accumulating points for.
Great, Joe. Thank you. We're tight on time now, so we don't have.
Hi.
Hi.
I was interested in the part where you were talking about the positive brand association. And one of the concerns is that if you're effectively incentivizing someone to watch something, that you start playing the video and then just set it down. That you actually just, you just trained users to do things to get stuff. And they're actually, it increases ad blindness because they're really ignoring the content completely. What would you say to that?
I would say that's a sort of a natural reaction, but I think that in an app experience, a third-party app experience, where we'll typically see this the integration element happening between levels, or before starting the game, or whatever it may be. There's ultimately going to be more engagement there. That's more driving sort of more likelihood to actually watch the video ad because they are about to do something else, right? Versus just putting it down and your app experience being over. So I think as long as we manage that type of messaging to be around moments where we know there's likely to be more engagement than normal, it's going to perform well. Exactly, and I would say, how many of us fast forward through DVR or walk out during commercials? It's sort of a, it's a double standard, whether it's rightfully so or not. I have my own opinions, but that's how we manage it.
Great, thank you, Joe.
Guys.